longing to hear her voice, soft, familiar, and filled a greeting, now reverberate with a bittersweet resonance, a reminder of connections severed by the passage of time and the weight of tragedy. Thanksgiving, a time typically reserved for gratitude and familial bonds, turned into a harrowing ordeal in the small, rural enclave of Burlingame, Kansas. The tranquility of the countryside was shattered on a chilling evening, November 29, 2009, when a distressing call pierced the quietude of the sheriff's office. An abandoned vehicle, a figure moving erratically under the cloak of darkness, and the sound of tires screeching into the night, these were the harbingers of a grim discovery. Law enforcement officers, arriving at the farmhouse, were met with a scene of chaos. The door, left ajar, invited them into a world turned upside down. Inside, the remnants of violence were stark, bloodstains on the floor, the air heavy with the faint cries of despair emanating from above. Each step forward peeled back another layer of the horror that had unfolded within those walls. This was not merely a story of a single night, but the culmination of a narrative woven over years. A narrative of control, simmering rage, and an eventual eruption that would forever alter the lives entwined within the Caylor family. James Caylor appeared to be the epitome of success. His life was a tapestry of prosperity, a lucrative career, a seemingly perfect domestic sphere. His wife, Karen, embodied the quintessential image of a devoted mother, her days filled with nurturing their three children, Emily, Lauren, and Sean. From a distance, the Caylor family was the embodiment of the American dream, thriving, cohesive, and content. Yet, beneath the polished veneer lay a reality shaped by silent sacrifices and unspoken struggles. Karen, once a woman with dreams of her own, had been studying engineering when she crossed paths with James. Their passionate romance led her to a pivotal decision in December 1985, a decision that altered the trajectory of her life. She left her academic pursuits, choosing instead to support James's burgeoning career. Their journey took them to Colorado, where James's professional ascent continued unabated, and Karen embraced her role as a full-time homemaker, crafting a future alongside him. The birth of their first daughter, Emily, on April 8, 1991, marked a new chapter. Karen immersed herself in motherhood, even as her own aspirations faded into the background. Karen's mother, Pat, watched with growing concern. She saw how Karen consistently prioritized James's ambitions over her own desires, her individuality slowly eroding as she pursued their collective dream. Relocation to Greenville, Texas in 1992, and the arrival of their second daughter, Lauren, in May 1993, brought new dynamics. Emily thrived in academics and music, her talents blossoming, while Lauren found her niche in athletics and the bass guitar. The facade of the perfect family masked a deeper, complex tapestry of unfulfilled dreams and mounting pressures. A reminder that beneath the surface of every narrative lies a deeper truth, one that compels us to reflect on the intricacies of human relationships and the delicate balance between personal aspirations and shared commitments. It is within this reflection that we find the essence of our humanity, a poignant reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring power of love and loss. Beneath the sunlit skies of Texas, where life seemed idyllic, a complex tapestry of human emotions and ambitions began to unravel. The serene facade of a perfect family life concealed a growing tension, one that found its roots in the deeply personal and often contentious decision of whether to expand their family. Karen, content with their two children, faced the relentless persuasion of her husband James, who harbored a fervent desire for a third child. The resolution of this impasse came through negotiation, a formal accord that encapsulated both compromise and condition. Karen consented to the idea of another child, but with a stipulation: James would undergo a medical procedure to prevent further expansion of their family. Thus, in March of 1999, the birth of Sean marked the fulfillment of their agreement, and James adhered to his promise, sealing the chapter of their familial growth. Career opportunities beckoned James to Dallas, Texas, a move that required Karen to adapt once more. Immersing herself in the local community, she assumed leadership as president of a mother's group, building a network of friendships and ensuring her children thrived in various pursuits. Emily excelled in academics and music, Lauren shone in band and sports, and young Sean showed promise on the baseball field. To the outside world, their lives appeared enviable. Yet beneath the surface, James's relentless pursuit of perfection began to cast a shadow over their household. His expectations, often unattainably high, were imposed with a rigidity that strained familial bonds. Emily, despite her achievements, bore the brunt of his dissatisfaction for falling short of academic perfection. This same uncompromising demeanor permeated his professional life, where colleagues perceived him as arrogant and dismissive, particularly toward women in leadership. James's obsession with control extended beyond personal interactions to financial matters, where he wielded his considerable earnings of $180,000 a year with an iron grip. Karen was subjected to a stringent financial regime, receiving a fixed weekly allowance and required to justify each expense with a receipt. His reputation for penny pinching was notorious, as he preferred borrowing tools over purchasing and relied on colleagues to subsidize his excursions to strip clubs. The extent of James's dominion reached into the personal rhythms of Karen's life. A regimented schedule dictated her evenings, mandating her presence in bed by 8:30 each night. Deviations from this routine provoked anger, with potential repercussions that escalated from verbal admonishments to the threat of physical confrontation. Observers noted Karen's hushed conversations during late-night calls, her voice tinged with urgency and apology, keenly aware of the consequences of inciting James's ire. This oppressive dynamic was not always so pronounced. In the nascent stages of their relationship, James's controlling tendencies were less apparent, subtle enough to be overlooked or rationalized. However, as the years progressed, these behaviors intensified, transforming from mere quirks into a pervasive stranglehold on Karen's autonomy and peace. The narrative of Karen and James is a poignant reminder of the complexities that lie beneath the veneer of domestic harmony. It underscores the delicate balance between ambition and contentment, control and freedom, and the profound impact these elements have on the human spirit. In the quiet suburbs of Texas, amid the hustle of daily life, this family story invites us to reflect on the nature of power, love, and the silent struggles that often unfold behind closed doors. In the quiet suburbia of her life, Karen found herself trapped within the confines of her marriage, a marriage that once eased the inclusion of another woman into their relationship. To him, it was an adventure, a source of excitement. To Karen, it was a breach of trust, an unsettling proposition that left her grappling with her own sense of self-worth. She felt the weight of expectation, the burden of acquiescence heavy upon her shoulders, yet found herself unable to voice her dissent. In search of solace and a semblance of independence, Karen turned to the familiar embrace of fitness. The gym became her sanctuary, a place where she could reclaim her autonomy. Fitness had always been her passion, a pursuit that had been sidelined by the demands of her domestic life. With James refusing to fund her membership, Karen took it upon herself to bake cakes and undertake odd jobs, gradually amassing enough to join Powerhouse Gym by January 2006. The gym, with its clanging weights and rhythmic hum of treadmills, became her haven. Her dedication bore fruit as she sculpted strength, both physical and emotional, eventually earning a part-time role as a personal trainer. James, surprisingly, agreed to her new employment, albeit with a stipulation that tethered her freedom. She must be home before their children return from school. Within the gym's walls, Karen found more than just fitness. She found camaraderie and a platform to voice the discontent that simmered beneath the surface of her marriage. Her colleagues became confidants, privy to tales of arguments that spiraled into physical altercations, leaving her with bruises she endeavored to hide. Amidst this turbulence, Karen met Sonny, a fellow trainer whose demeanor was a balm to her wounded spirit. Sonny's calm and supportive nature starkly contrasted with James's volatile temper. A friendship blossomed, rooted in mutual respect and understanding, and gradually deepened into a romantic relationship. The genesis of their connection was shrouded in speculation. Some whispered that James's earlier suggestion had inadvertently paved the way for their bond, while others believed it unfolded naturally, unbeknownst to him. As Karen and Sonny's relationship flourished, it transitioned into a complex triad. James, in a surprising twist, seemed to endorse this dynamic, peppering Sonny with flirtatious messages, gifting both women, and even facilitating their weekend getaways. Yet as time passed, he distanced himself from this narrative, denying any involvement in fostering their liaison. By 2008, the facade of their unconventional arrangement began to crumble. James, seeking to reassert control, cast Karen as the architect of their marital demise. He accepted a lucrative position in Columbia, Missouri, compelling Karen to uproot her life from Texas and sever ties with Sonny. This geographical and emotional displacement left Karen heartbroken, her sense of agency once again eclipsed by James's decisions. In the aftermath of these events, Karen stood at a crossroads, reflecting on the journey that had brought her here. Her story is a poignant reminder of the complexity of human relationships, the interplay of power and vulnerability, and the enduring quest for self-discovery amidst the chaos of life. As the dust settled, Karen's path was one of resilience, a testament to the indomitable spirit that seeks light even in the darkest corners. In the heart of Weatherford, Texas, Karen had planted deep roots within her community, nurtured by the vibrant lives of her children and the bonds she had formed. Yet, as often happens in the intricate dance of life, change swept through with the force of her husband James's decisions. Their lives pivoted once more as James decided to relocate the family to Missouri, a decision that left Karen to untangle the threads of their Texan life alone. Unbeknownst to James, Karen harbored a secret tether to her Texas life, a long-distance relationship with Sonny. This clandestine connection provided Karen a sense of freedom she had not known in years. When Karen and the children eventually joined James in Missouri, he was under the illusion that the fractures in their marriage had healed. He even supported her decision to pursue a degree in health sciences at the University of Missouri while she continued her work as a fitness instructor. Yet beneath the surface, Karen's spirit yearned for the autonomy she had tasted with Sonny. James, driven by an insatiable need for control, began to tighten his grip. He monitored Karen's every move, scrutinizing her emails, phone calls, and whereabouts. This surveillance was a desperate attempt to reclaim the authority he felt slipping away. The tension simmered beneath the surface until it erupted on New Year's Eve in 2008. At a party back in Weatherford, the unexpected presence of Sonny ignited a visceral reaction in Karen. Her joy was palpable, the air between them crackling with the electricity of a connection that had refused to fade. They laughed, embraced, and shared moments that spoke volumes more than words could convey. For James, witnessing this was a searing humiliation, a public unraveling of the control he so fiercely guarded. Overcome with rage, James confronted Karen in front of the gathered crowd, his voice a litany of accusations. Yet Karen, emboldened by her love for Sonny, refused to yield. In a defiant act, she kissed Sonny, a gesture that shattered the facade of their marriage before the eyes of all present. The host, uncomfortable with the escalating drama, asked them to leave, but the confrontation spilled onto the front lawn, where James's anger took a physical turn. In a moment of violence, he pushed Karen, causing her to fall and strike her head. The dawn of the new year brought clarity amidst the chaos. Karen, grappling with the tumult of the night, began to reassess her approach to confronting James. She suggested a pause in her relationship with Sonny, but Sonny, unwavering, pointed to the true source of turmoil: James's abusive behavior. Concerned for Karen's safety, Sonny urged her to take decisive action. In January 2009, Karen found the courage to stand her ground. She filed for divorce, a bold step towards reclaiming her life. Though she continued to reside in the family home, she moved into a separate bedroom, maintaining her connection with Sonny across the miles. Yet James was unrelenting, his refusal to release his grip manifesting in obsessive behaviors. He monitored Karen's emails, tracked her movements, and intercepted correspondence from Sonny, each act fueled by a jealousy that spiraled into irrationality. As James's behavior became increasingly erratic, his colleagues began to notice the cracks in his veneer. The meticulous facade he had constructed was crumbling, revealing the turmoil within. The unraveling of their marriage became a public spectacle, a testament to the destructive power of control and the indomitable strength of a woman seeking her own path. In the end, it was not just a tale of love and betrayal, but a profound exploration of freedom, identity, and the courage to break free from the chains that bind. Grew deeper, spiraling into a shadowy abyss from which he could not escape. James had once been a respected figure, a man whose presence commanded attention in council meetings, where his voice was a harbinger of change and progress. Yet beneath the veneer of public service, a tempest brewed, one that would unravel his carefully curated image. His life, once a testament to the pursuit of the American dream, became a cautionary tale of how unchecked emotions can dismantle a seemingly perfect existence. The photograph album he clutched so desperately contained memories of happier times, smiles captured in candid moments, laughter frozen in glossy pages. It was a tangible reminder of a life he believed he had built on the bedrock of love and family. But to those who saw him flip through it, the album was a relic of a past that was slipping into oblivion, a testament to his refusal to accept the present. In the aftermath of his arrest in March 2009, James's world crumbled further. The courtroom became a stage where the fallacy of his self-perception was laid bare. Karen's testimony depicted a man consumed by control, whose love had turned into a shackle. The evidence of bruises, the silent testimony of her suffering, spoke louder than any words he could muster in his defense. As Karen and the children moved across Colombia, the physical distance mirrored the emotional chasm that had already formed. The withdrawal from their joint account was more than a financial move. It was a declaration of independence, a severance from the chains that had bound her. For James, it was a wound to his pride, a blow to his constructed identity as the head of a perfect family. His resignation from public office was a public acknowledgement of his private failures. The whispers of his erratic behavior, once confined to hushed conversations, became a chorus condemning his actions. His retreat to Kansas, under the guise of seeking solace, only served to amplify his isolation. The farm, with its vast fields and endless horizons, should have been a place of reflection and healing. Instead, it became a prison for his thoughts, a breeding ground for the obsession that consumed him. The fixation on Karen was relentless. His invasions of her privacy were not acts of love, but of desperation, a futile attempt to reclaim what was lost. The insults and accusations hurled at her and Sonny were not expressions of hurt, but manifestations of a mind unraveling. The daughters, caught in the crossfire of their parents' discord, became unwitting pawns in his struggle for control. Their choices, expressions of their burgeoning independence, were met with disdain and anger, further alienating them from a father who could not see beyond his own pain. In compiling the exhaustive dossier against Karen, James believed he was building a case for redemption. Instead, it was a testament to his inability to let go, a chronicle of his refusal to see the truth that lay before him. The pages, filled with minutiae and imagined infractions, were not a roadmap to reconciliation, but a monument to his obsession. In the end, James's story is a poignant reminder of the dangers of unchecked emotions and the illusion of control. It is a narrative that underscores the fragility of relationships and the destructive power of obsession. As the sun sets on his once promising life, James is left to ponder the echoes of his choices, a solitary figure amid the vast Kansas plains, seeking answers in the silence of his solitude. In the quiet corners of a life once governed by order, chaos had stealthily taken root. James, a man once in control, found his grip slipping as his actions became increasingly unpredictable and perilous. Confiding in friends, he spoke of sinister intentions towards Sonny, his words dismissed as mere bluster. Yet beneath his outward demeanor lay a turbulent sea of contradictions and instability, underscored by a series of extramarital affairs that further distanced him from the life he had meticulously curated. Amidst this turmoil, a singular thread of stability remained: his relationship with his son Sean. In stark contrast to his fractured ties with his wife Karen and their daughters, James clung to the bond with Sean. Together, they sought solace in the wilderness, hunting and fishing, activities that offered a semblance of normalcy in a life otherwise spiraling out of control. Sean represented not just a son, but a fragile hope, a connection unbroken by the surrounding discord. As the chill of November 2009 settled in, the holiday season approached, bringing with it the promise of familial gatherings. Karen, determined to salvage the remnants of her family, orchestrated a Thanksgiving visit to her grandmother Dorothy's farmhouse in Burlingame, Kansas. A quaint town with a population of fewer than 1,000, it seemed the ideal backdrop for a peaceful reunion. Yet beneath the surface of planned festivities, tension simmered. Gathering from James's home. The day unfolded in a manner no one could have foreseen. That evening, a neighbor observed an ominous scene. A vehicle speeding through the otherwise tranquil streets, a man exiting with a large object in hand, only to return moments later and drive away. Alarmed, the neighbor contacted the sheriff's office, suspecting a potential burglary. What awaited the authorities was a tableau of unimaginable horror. Upon arrival at Dorothy's home, deputies were confronted with devastation. Dorothy, at 89 years old, lay in the kitchen, grievously wounded by multiple gunshots, her life ebbing away. In the dining room, the lifeless body of late Cariff bore witness to the violence, felled by 2 gunshots. The lounge revealed another tragic tableau. 18-year-old Emily, struck twice, her life extinguished by a second shot that rendered her instantly paralyzed. A faint cry from upstairs pierced the grim silence, leading deputies to 16-year-old Lauren, critically injured yet clinging to life. Her words, "James, my dad," whispered through pain, unveiled the unimaginable truth. Despite the frantic efforts of paramedics, Lauren succumbed to her injuries, joining Dorothy in the tragic tally of loss, leaving Sean as the solitary survivor of the massacre. In the aftermath, Sean recounted the chilling sequence of events. He and Karen had been engaged in a simple, innocent task, cleaning old coins, when James, his father, stormed through the back door. Armed with a rifle and devoid of hesitation, James unleashed a torrent of violence, his first target Karen, whose life was abruptly and brutally ended. As the dust settled on that fateful night, the remnants of a shattered family lingered, a testament to the destructive power of unchecked rage and despair. In the quiet aftermath, the echoes of loss reverberated through the small town. a stark reminder of the fragility of human connections and the darkness that can dwell within. Through the lens of tragedy, one is left pondering the delicate balance between love and hatred, control and chaos, and the haunting question of how one man's unraveling could lead to such irrevocable devastation. In the heart of a quiet, suburban neighborhood, the tranquility was shattered by the sinister symphony of gunfire. Sean, a young boy caught in the throes of chaos, found himself thrust into a nightmare that would forever alter the course of his life. Desperation drove him to reach out for help, but the relentless echo of gunshots drowned out his cries and forced him to flee the scene. Terrified and alone, he sprinted through the pandemonium, seeking refuge at a neighbor's house, a sanctuary from the horrors unfolding within his own home. Meanwhile, the wheels of justice began to turn. Authorities, acting swiftly, obtained a search warrant for James, the man at the center of this unfolding drama. Their investigation led them to a remote area where James's car stood abandoned, an eerie anomaly amidst the natural landscape. Inside the vehicle, a chilling tableau awaited them: a cache of ammunition, unopened bottles of anxiety medication, and a backpack meticulously packed with survival essentials such as soap, toilet paper, and canned food. These unsettling discoveries painted a portrait of a man on the brink, preparing for an unknown but seemingly inevitable confrontation. Yet, James himself remained. Eden intervened, and he was spotted wandering a desolate road, appearing as a ghost of his former self, disheveled, lost, and weary. When law enforcement officers approached, James did not resist. He simply uttered the haunting words, "I'm the guy you're looking for," and surrendered peacefully, as if he had been awaiting this moment of reckoning all along. As the legal proceedings unfolded, James's defense team painted a picture of a man unraveling under the weight of his mental health struggles. They argued that depression and personality disorders had driven him to a breaking point, robbing him of control over his actions. In contrast, the prosecution wove a narrative of premeditated violence, underscored by testimony from a psychiatrist who asserted that despite James's mental health issues, he retained the capacity to orchestrate his actions with intent. The sparing of Sean's life was presented as evidence of calculated restraint, a chilling testament to the deliberate nature of his crimes. In the year 2011, 2 years after the fateful night that tore their lives apart, the trial commenced. Sean, now 12 years old, displayed extraordinary bravery as he took the witness stand. With a voice that belied his tender age, he recounted the horrific events with a clarity that pierced the courtroom. He described how his father had stormed into their home, unleashing a torrent of violence that claimed the lives of his mother and sisters. Sean's testimony painted a vivid tableau of calculated brutality, leaving the jury with little doubt about James's malevolent intent. Sonny, another key witness, added depth to the narrative by recounting the tumultuous relationship between James and Karen. She detailed how James's demeanor had morphed from Inden's, and Karen's own accounts provided a crucial window into the toxic dynamics that had set the stage for tragedy. After only 2 hours of deliberation, the jury returned with a unanimous verdict. James was found guilty of capital murder, his plea of insanity dismissed by the weight of evidence against him. The sentence was the ultimate penalty: death. As the verdict was pronounced, James remained stoic, an impassive figure amidst the emotional storm that enveloped the courtroom. He even requested to leave during the victim impact statements, though he was compelled to stay and face the consequences of his actions. Perhaps the most poignant moment of the trial emerged during the sentencing phase. Sean, standing in the shadow of his father's crimes, addressed the court with a strength and composure that belied his youth. His words, a testament to resilience and courage, resonated deeply, offering a glimmer of hope amid the darkness. In the end, the trial not only served justice, but also underscored the enduring complexities of the human condition. where the line between sanity and madness is as fragile as it is profound. In the quiet corridors of justice, a young man named Sean grappled with an unimaginable reality. The prospect of his father James facing the death penalty loomed heavily, not only as a personal loss, but as a devastating blow to the family that remained. For Sean, the potential execution threatened to extinguish the remaining ties to his past, leaving his grandparents to bear the weight of sorrow alone. Despite the gravity of his actions, James had to rationalize his deeds, claiming he had liberated Sean from a toxic environment. This twisted narrative underscored his refusal to accept responsibility, showcasing his distorted perception of the harm he had inflicted. James's legal team moved swiftly to file an appeal, asserting that the jury's decision was tainted by bias and that his mental health had been inadequately considered. However, the Kansas Supreme Court upheld the initial ruling, affirming that while his mental health had been evaluated, it did not absolve him of culpability. The appeal was denied, cementing James's fate on death row, a chilling testament to the irreversible repercussions of his choices. In the wake of this tragedy, Sean embarked on a journey of resilience and recovery. Confronted with the profound loss and trauma, he persevered, graduating from high school and forging a new life in Kansas. His path became a beacon of hope, illustrating the capacity to transcend even the deepest shadows of despair. While the scars of his father's crimes remain indelible, Sean's unwavering determination to rebuild stands as a powerful testament to human endurance. In the end, this tale serves as a poignant reminder of the enduring human spirit, capable of rising above the darkest of circumstances to find light and renewal in the aftermath of tragedy.